Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. Well, I'm back from a week down at Starbase. I'm going to give you a short view of what it was like during my time there, and then we'll get back into Giga Texas. So I hope you enjoy these short clips. Well, thank you for watching my look back and reflections on my trip to Starbase, the highly successful launch number 3 of Starship. Of course, the big event was the launch of Ship 28 and Booster 10. Here are a few sights and sounds.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Of course, my favorite is the drone shots of the launch. Just stunning imagery coming off of the launch pad.
The video that we see here.
But you're definitely seeing the interaction of the ship and the atmosphere right now.
Wow.
And that plume that you see is that plasma. It may affect the transmission because it interferes with the radio frequencies. However, if they're using Starship and it's on the leeward side of the wind flow, we may actually, we're still getting telemetry and we're still getting views, which in and of itself is kind of historic.
So as you can see, there's a lot of successes, a lot of positive developments to build on, and I'm looking forward to the next launch coming up. And also just taking a look back at some of the images and memories and people that I met during this trip. And of course, the images that came out of the launch, such as this one here, the actual rising of the Starship above the launch tower, seeing all 33 engines lit. My personal favorite, the drone shots of the launch, of course, seeing the Starship in orbit, and who can ever forget the plasma that was building up as part of its re-entry. And one other fun event I was able to be a part of, thanks to meeting Chief, who is a photographer around Starbase. He invited me to kind of the traditional beach bonfire and celebration right next to the launch tower. And a lot of people came out for that event. It just grew throughout the night. And I have heard about these events, but I've never had a chance or the privilege to be able to participate. And I'll tell you, just a lot of really great people to talk with. And as the sun started going down, a lot more people showed up. Great views of the ocean, also of the launch platform. So I hope you enjoyed those short clips of what my trip was like down at Starbase. Make sure you check the full video. The link will be in the video description if you want to learn more about launch number 3 of Starship and its successes. So now, without further ado, let's get into the drone, let's fly around, and let's get reacquainted of what is going on here at Giga Texas today. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Good early morning here at Giga Texas. As noted in the intro, I'm back from Starbase, so we're going to get a chance to get caught up with what is going on. And here we're starting on the southwest side. The parking lot has gotten more of the trenching and the conduit installed for the lighting on the right-hand side of the screen. Some additional earthwork near where the contractors are parking their vehicles on that far southwest side as well. We see some of the underground corrugated pipe being installed in that parking lot. And as we fly over the material staging yard, we can tell that some of the TKS paint system, the modular items, have been moved inside the factory. We were unable to see that while I was gone, but I suspect those are being installed right now. As we approach the outbound lot, we can tell that it is very busy with a lot of Model Ys and as we will see a lot of Cybertrucks all throughout this area. The end-of-line facility is all lit up. It is operational, as are the superchargers on the south end of that structure. As we continue to fly towards the north along the west outbound lot, we can see that the north side here has had more of the earthwork and cleaning it out and preparing for the asphalt that will be applied here. And this will either expand the outbound lot further to the north, or it might be parking, or a combination of both. But most of the trench work, conduit, and preparation for the lighting system has been completed. We do see some excavation work here next to the roadway, and it appears more of the asphalt has been poured in the week and a half that I have been gone. We see those concrete vaults being prepared for installation. The test track along the west side of the end of line has got some of those dividers. You can see the markings, and also some trailers as well. One of those, I believe, is one of the executive restrooms, that white trailer on the bottom right. And that's usually used when they have not completed all of the plumbing and the interior restroom facilities. But inside, we can see on the north end through the glass a lot of activity with installing items here. Many Cybertrucks are being stored here on the east side in this newly paved section. I did not take the chance to count how many, but there are many dozens, maybe 100 on this particular side. More here on the south end, getting various checks done. And of course, the supercharger site is loaded with Cybertrucks today, and the drive-through nature and also the direction is very evident here. And they will flow from the area next to the building to the south through these chargers, and all of them seem to be very happily getting charged right now. So it's great to see that operational. More of the Cybertrucks near those tents on the right, more of the track and the markings on the left. And I wanted to give you a good view here of the outbound lot from this perspective. The number of trucks picking up the vehicles seems to be very busy today. In addition to that, on the upper right-hand side of the screen, the paved road goes all the way now up to Tesla Road, so the trucks are using that as the departure route once they have loaded up all the vehicles and they're heading off to the distribution points around Austin. Here's a good look at this south clearing, just south of where those superchargers are. Some more of the trench work, some of those concrete items, and some of the conduit waiting for installation. We do see here next to the boring tunnel site a lot of activity. Some of those concrete tunnel segments have been moved over closer to these silos. This is part of the grout system that will be injecting that grout between the liners and the dirt once the tunnel is the boring is completed. We can see that belt cassette with some of those black belts have been stretched out on both sides, plus that roller belt system is now aligned along that conveyor system under those two beams and those A-frames. Continuing over to where we see this blue kind of a tarp over the end of the tunnel boring machine, and of course the boring tunnel drill head as well. It also looks to me, based on what I can see here and also what I saw on the ground, that the angle of the tunnel boring machine has increased to some degree. It's approaching that 17-degree entry point that it should need for the drilling. And also, to me, it looks like the drill head has turned slightly, and I think that's part of some of the testing getting ready for the boring tunnel process to begin. We can see the other boring tunnel items under those black tarps waiting for the boring process to begin, and then those will be added as the tunnel goes into the ground, and it'll be part of that entire system. We see that orange and yellow ventilation fan getting ready for installation as well. Some more items have been delivered in those black tarps in the bottom of the screen, and of course a good overall view of how that site looks. So hopefully we'll get a chance later this week to see the tunnel boring process underway. It's something we've been waiting for quite some time, and hopefully we'll be able to catch it in action. So as we fly towards the north along the west side of the building, we can get a good view of how it looks here on this side today. Let's cross over the highway and bring the drone down a little lower, and let's take a look at some views of what is going on here, starting with the end-of-line facility for the Model Ys. That's where you see those two black ramps. Inside, you can tell their Model Ys are being prepared. One of them just drove out of the factory, and of course they are all put here until they have enough numbers and drivers, and then they take them over to the east side, testing a calibration lot for preparation before going over to the west calibration, or the outbound lot. As we continue to fly further to the south, I wanted to stop here and show you that the progress on these new receiving doors has been made. The thresholds have been poured with concrete. We see those gray load levelers just underneath the black tarps, and they still haven't marked these new receiving doors, but soon they should be getting their marking, the emblems above each of them, so that they can identify where these are for the deliveries of the parts and the trailers. Next to this trailer, we see about a dozen more Cybertrucks. Now, these have usually been kind of a holding pattern, waiting for some parts to arrive, maybe because of the subcontractor or the supplier, or maybe for other reasons. We get over towards the southwest corner. We can see the crane is busy adding more of the steel. In fact, by the time I left, all of this section had been completed with some of the beams and the columns on the first floor. And of course, it's butting up with that original exterior wall on the southwest corner. A lot more of the steel items has been delivered on the ground, and they're getting ready for installation. As we turn around this new southwest corner, get a good view of this kind of a trapezoidal atrium section, and that open on the opening on the perimeter grade beam where possibly another entrance may be installed. More of the floor decking is being installed on this angled corner, as is the roof decking. And we see another section of concrete on the second floor has just recently been poured. On the ground floor, we see that excavation, a little bit of water in it, and then we just passed over those kind of riding trawlers or helicopters that are used to smooth out the concrete. As we continue to fly towards the east along this south end, we can take a look on the ground floor. We can see this excavation. A lot of the rebar has been installed, some welding being done as well on one of these columns. But this gives you a good sense of how heavily reinforced these excavations are going to be here on the ground floor. And there are 3 of them evenly spaced throughout this structure, one of which is behind all of the windows that have been installed. And of course, many more windows are now in place than they were on my previous video back on the 8th of March. So that work is continuing. More of the windows are being delivered. We can see those yellow items. Those are the suction cup devices that the cranes use to pick up the glass and install. And of course, more on this southeast corner. And of course, more of the steel structure has been completed here on this part, connecting to that new perimeter grade beam. We do see another opening in that grade beam. And of course, many of the beams throughout this section have been added. So much of this structure is completed. As I bring the drone up and turn around, you can get a good sense of the number of Cybertrucks that are exiting the factory here on the southeast corner next to the tanks. That is where the end-of-line exit for the Cybertrucks is located. Of course, the tanks now have their lids installed, also the railing around the top of the tanks, and much of the pipe work has been installed as well. I'll maneuver the drone down lower in between the original building and the Stamping 2 on the right and the new steel structure on the left. You can also see workers with that central excavation in the bottom left. More of the black piping getting ready to be installed. And this section next to the wall on the ground is possibly where we might see some boring tunnel action, but that is still something to be determined. I'm going to bring the drone up here, kind of turn around, give you a good view of the south end over the Cyber Pond, this River Road section, and the earthwork that it was done just to the south of the River Road. And then as I turn back, a good overall view of how the factory and that extension look today. And it really is filling out that area now. I'd say it's about 60% completed with the steel. And of course, the window line is continuing to be installed along that entire south end. As we continue to maneuver the drone here on the southeast side, a new development I want to show you, and that is the extension work through the trees here for River Road to go from the intersection on the left where you see the concrete ending, and then this is going to continue all the way through this area that is being prepared to connect in to a new intersection on the southeast corner of the multi-level parking garage, and that's going to be where River Road and Robotic Avenue come together, and it'll be just another access way from the south and also from the north to exit the multi-level parking garage area. And this section where you can see the bulldozer, and there where that excavator is removing some of the trees and some of that berm, this is where that intersection is going to be. The bottom right, you can see another truck and some clearing, and eventually that road is going to continue through this path all the way around near the Colorado River up towards the battery cathode plant. So while we are here, I'll zoom in and show you the south end of the multi-level parking garage and the work that is being done on that ground level. Believe that they are still doing concrete work on the ground and the 7 floors inside. Plus, we can see more of that steel rebar mesh and some other sections of concrete on the roof that have been poured in the last week or so. More of the double T panels, some new columns, and also beams waiting to be installed. The building has now reached its eastward most direction on the left-hand side, and also the northward reach of the building on the right side. And then where the 2 cranes are is obviously where they're continuing to expand the building. There used to be 3 cranes here, so one of them has been packed up and moved away in the last 10 days. And we see more work with double T's and another column getting ready to be installed here. The second stairwell has been completed, mostly completed on the left-hand side of the screen. And as I continue to maneuver, we can see that concrete work on the roof and the elevator shaft on that left-hand side of the structure. It appears to me most of the trench work on the ground has been completed as well. I'm going to maneuver back over the roof of Giga Texas. I want to give you a quick look at this opening with the roof on the left-hand side of the screen. This is where they are adding in additional ventilation system. The ducts for this are still being stored over on the west side material staging. We can also see the work that is going on inside. Some of the kind of platforms around those Evapco chiller units, and all of this continues to progress to the point where eventually, maybe in the next week or two, we'll start seeing those vents installed. So I'm going to now fly up along the power lines and the east side of the building. I'm going to approach over to the testing and calibration lot where we'll see another group of vehicles being prepared for shipping. As mentioned, a lot of vehicles here today on this side. Many of them are Model Ys, quite a few Cybertrucks as well. And we also see some of the Cybertrucks driving around on this testing and calibration lot as well. The wind tunnel Looks like somebody is working there today, so I don't know what they are preparing for it to do. The green generator is still there to power this section. And on the left, we see the Rainmaker with that orange door. And just before I got here, there was another Cybertruck going through testing. This is a good long view showing the number of Cybertrucks and Model Ys in this section here. This lot is used as a testing calibration and a holding lot until all of that testing is completed. Once those are to the specifications that they need to be, then they are moved over to the outbound lot on the west side for shipping. I'll keep the zoom in and show you the progress here with these 5 receiver doors on the left. The kind of the small retaining wall has had the concrete poured, and that means that they'll soon get to doing that concrete apron. We continue to see a lot of the Cybertruck castings stored on the ground here, plus more of the rack mounts being installed near the power towers and also the wall. We see more excavation work next to those 2 towers right now, and then of course more of the castings, some of them in the rack mounts on this newly poured concrete apron and the widened berm. Now the large section with some of those holes, also the screw type piers that are being installed, this suggests that we may be seeing an extension to casting here. These screw type piers provide a lot of strength into this soil. In addition, in this area, we've also seen years ago some of the concrete piles have been installed and more geopiering. So it looks like they are really preparing this section for some heavy weighted items, and perhaps we might see an expansion here, maybe more gigapresses. On the bottom of the screen, we can see more of the castings, more rack mounts on the right, and generally a lot of the materials for that furnace inside the collectors for the exhaust have all been moved inside, probably installed in the last week or so while I've been at Starbase. As we continue to fly around this corner of the building and look at the north end, we see even more of those rack mounts with castings on the left. More deliveries coming into the paint shop, also into the plastics manufacturing section. And then here it looks like there's been some deliveries in crates for the 4680 cell production section of the building. The work to continue to expand the production capability continues. We can see through those doors that a lot of the concrete, especially on the ground level, has been poured in the time that I have been gone. Now, earlier today, we got a announcement from Tesla that Giga Texas is now producing over a week's worth of 4680s every week, and that is a big ramp up of the production capability. If we take a look at my production estimates and my ramp, that's about 52,000 per year, and I was expecting somewhere around 36,000 per year. So they are running about 3 months ahead of where I had projected them to be. So congratulations to the work and the efforts of the Giga Texas 4680 cell production team. In this section, we see more of the concrete has been removed. All of the stairs now have been removed, and they have those temporary platforms with stairs going into those doors. Of course, that ramp is gone as well. So still waiting to see what they have in mind for this section once it's completed. Just looking at the section of the roof that has had the repairs, it looks like the bricks are still there, but hopefully they've kind of got a handle on some of the leaks that was happening in that section as well. So I'm going to bring the drone up. We'll cross over the power lines and the east parking lot, and I'm going to reposition over towards the battery cathode plant where there are a lot of updates today. work on the Tesla Road extension on the left-hand side of the screen continues. Asphalt has been completed next to the east side of the cathode plant. There's some new trailers that have arrived as well. And as I come in closer to the south end of the crash test facility, I'll zoom in and show you that this tank that has been under construction is now filled with water, and they have barriers on the south end. And this leads more credence to the idea that this is a dunk tape, probably for after a crash and possibly if there were battery fires. So it's great to see that that is now completed. All the asphalt around and the concrete has been poured. So it looks like that is at least operational for now, and another addition to the crash testing capability here at Giga Texas. This water detention pond looks like it's had some rains in the last week or so. We see some of that water still ponding, especially in that center section where the filtration system is located. We also see the work on the berms on the east side where you see the gravel mix as well continues. And I think that is just mainly because they're concerned about erosion and to try to control that here. And we'll probably see that more on the berms around that water detention pond. Now, there is some interesting activity here on the northeast side, specifically those two stainless steel tanks that have been waiting here for at least 6 months, if not more, are finally being moved. One of them has already been moved, and we'll see that here shortly. And then this one is being prepared to be moved by this blue and white crane. And I will show you where this is going to be installed. It is part of the chiller system on the west side of the cathode plant, and they've already got all the concrete poured, and we'll see the movement of the tanks here shortly. As I pull back, you can see the concrete sections that were cut up from the east side of the casting machine structure being stored here, and those silver items, those kind of tanks on the right-hand side, still waiting for movement. This is a good view of the east side of the battery cathode plant and how it looks here today. And as I pan back towards the west, a couple things that we will see is there's some more of the materials and some spools of cabling that have been moved here to the north end, just next to the lift station. The lift station itself looks like it no longer needs a generator, so that is operational now. And as I bring the drone down, I'll show you the stainless steel tank on the truck here. With the truck, this gives you a good idea of scale. And these are being moved to the chiller plant and their new foundations, which we will see here shortly. As I continue to fly between the trees and over this new asphalt section, we can see that expanded temporary platform on the left with the rubbish chute. And then as I zoom in, a lot of the activity with the chiller plant itself, much on the roof section near this opening next to the Evapco fan units. It looks like some more items are being lifted up right now, and just a good overall view of how this site looks and the activity that is going on today. Now, next to these two stainless steel tanks, you'll see the foundations for the other two tanks that are on the move today. Plus, it looks like they have a container wall around this section, so in case there were a leak, it would prevent it from leaking into the ground. Of course, this is next to those vaporizers and the nitrogen tanks as well. And it's just great to see that this site continues to expand. So let's fly down the alleyway. I'm going to reposition the drone to show you a couple of things that are going on in the south side of the die shop. We also see a large delivery of some more tanks on the bottom of the screen. And then on this south end, what we see is geotextile membrane being laid down onto this prepared dirt surface. That will be then covered again, and then asphalt or concrete. That geotextile membrane is to strengthen and stabilize the soil in this area. And then next to it, we see this formwork for concrete walls. This looks like it's going to be set up for a delivery run for some of the trucks into that receiving door. As I bring the drone down lower here on the west side, we get a good sense of the preparation for asphalt and possibly concrete on this west side of the die shop. And then, of course, more of the geotextile membrane being placed on the ground here next to the lights, the furnace that is covered on the north side of the die shop, and just a good overall view of this part of the site. So I'm going to reposition the drone over the Martin Marietta batch plant over towards the electrical switch yards, and I'm going to show you the current update with the removal of the temporary electrical switch yard. Of course, the permanent new one is on the right-hand side of the screen, and it is fully operational. Some of the concrete vaults are open, so they may be doing some work on the wires. But if you can see the grid pattern in the ground here, what I think has happened is that in the last week that I've been gone or so, they've removed the grounding grid, the copper wires and system underneath that was used for the temporary electrical switch yard. Now that those appear to be gone and all of the equipment is gone, they will just do the final preparation of this site and then turn it back over to Tesla. And we'll find out what Tesla has in store for that area. On the right of the screen, you saw at least 5 trucks with vehicles and Model Ys and Cybertrucks departing Giga Texas. And as I bring the drone down here, we get a good close-in view of the Megapack site. This is now fully operational. It's connected to the grid and Giga Texas, providing the power for backup for Giga Texas and stabilizing the grid in the entire area. So that's a quick look at Giga Texas today on the 20th of March, kind of a recap for me and hopefully for you on what has been going on here at the site. As always, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate your support, and I hope you have a great rest of the week.